welcome back to Jen's Addiction. Today I want to talk about something that I really am addicted to, and that is my Famous Monsters of Filmland collection. I initially thought maybe I would highlight parts of the collection or talk just about collecting Famous Monsters of Filmland in general. And then it occurred to me maybe I would showcase a few things that were different about the collection, maybe some information that you may or may not have been aware of if you're collecting Famous Monsters. I know one thing in particular that I'm going to talk about was something I didn't know, and I was trying so hard to complete my collection of Famous Monsters and I couldn't figure out why, and I'll explain here in a minute. So things like that, hidden gems, things that were surprises to me that when I was able to really take some time and be thoughtful. And I really do like to look through my magazines and my comic books and things that I collect and read them. So once I can kind of get in and do that, the things that I'm surprised to find, it's kind of crazy. So I thought I would just highlight a few of those, maybe give you a little bit of food for thought about collecting maybe Famous Monsters, but also anything that you collect. I think any of this information I share today might kind of transfer over to other things that you collect, from records, comics, whatever it may be. Those happen to be my favorite things. So born in the 70s, grew up loving monsters, watching Saturday morning cartoons. And once that finished, it morphed into afternoon monster movies, right? So you could see Godzilla, you could maybe see Frankenstein. You always had some kind of great B monster movie of some kind, like Robot Monster. I think I definitely saw like Dracula, Frankenstein, The Bride of Frankenstein. So all those things were super important to me. And one thing that kept it front of mind and accessible, because as I mentioned, if you watched my Star Wars Day episode, I used the Star Wars record, to fill that gap between movies, because we didn't have VCRs and movies and ease of access to watch those things. So if my movie theaters weren't playing classic movies and monsters, and TV shows weren't playing them, what else did you do? We had toys. I had tons of vampire blood and fake teeth and monster toys and Mego monsters and you name it. I couldn't get enough of it. But the one thing that really kind of fed my imagination was Famous Monsters of Filmland. Love Famous Monsters. On a side note, I think they've restarted. I just got issue number 1. They're starting fresh. They have a new owner and they're trying to restart the magazine. So I wish them all the luck in the world. I've bought my subscription. I can't wait for issue number 2 because I really want it back. There's nothing like Famous Monsters. I may have seen The Bride of Frankenstein thousands of times, but I never get sick of seeing photos from it and hearing about it. It's a time in movies and movie magic that will never, ever, ever be repeated. So when I was collecting Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine, I really wanted to capture back my childhood. So if you aren't familiar with Famous Monsters, it is a Warren publication. Forrest J. Ackerman was the editor and creator. It came out in 1958. This is issue number 1. This is one of my number ones. I have a couple. This one's sort of beat up, so I call this my reader copy. It's missing a few things inside, but they always had a funny joke. They always would have something kind of in the end, like a question that could carry over to another issue, quizzes. For example, oh my gosh, so there's an outtake. It's Bela Lugosi as Igor. So with Frankenstein. Oh my gosh, anything to do with monsters. Oh, there we go. There is Robot Monster. So you could just learn all about these wonderful, wonderful movies from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And as a person, see, my page is loose. As a person who wanted to learn how to do makeup and monster makeup, this was like crucial, right? Because I just could not get enough of seeing all this. And I loved costumes and all that. So part of what was really great is finding all those at garage sales and hand-me-down books that people would give me and pages that were torn out here and there. So that really kind of started it for me and filled that gap and was super important to me. Famous Monsters of Filmland was also super important to many of the filmmakers and special effects artists that are so popular today. One of which is my absolute favorite, who is Rick Baker. He's an Academy Award winning makeup artist. He is a true monster kid, and he probably, I'm not going to speak for him and say that he owes Famous Monsters a huge debt, but he had that fever and that bug. And when he saw Famous Monsters for the first time, it really made him want to make masks and learn how to do special effects makeup. So he has a wonderful book about his career, and it is called Metamorphosis. It's 2 books, and it is, oh my gosh, this is book 1, is super, super heavy. So it kind of starts from his early childhood through his career. And he mentions in there that Famous Monsters of Filmland #3 was the first one that he ever read, and that the do-it-yourself makeup handbook that came out, this was a Dick Smith collaboration, I believe, is really sort of the Bible that he looked through to learn how to make his first masks and to really dive in to that genre. He says this is the first one that he ever saw. Interestingly enough, they give a list of people who are in the Famous Monsters fan club. So under California, there is somebody named Richard Baker listed. I don't know if it's just a coincidence or if that's him. But if this was the first one he ever saw, then I don't know how he would have known. It must be a different Richard Baker. But anyway, point being, I think it's cool as having it as part of my collection that it's also linked to something else that I really love and enjoy, which is Rick Baker's work. So that's a real highlight, and maybe some information you may or may not know. If you're a movie buff, a special effects makeup fan, that might be something cool to know. This one in particular, I can find every now and then in like a $1 box, $5 box. It depends on how beat up it is. But these can be pretty inexpensive to find if you find one that's not in super, super pristine condition. So when I was collecting Famous Monsters, a big surprise for me was when I got up to about book number 70, I had book number 69, and then I could find number 80, and I couldn't find anything else in between, right? It was really frustrating. I thought those must be super hard books to find. In the meantime, I was buying a little publication called Monster World, and there's only 10 of these. This is issue number 1. Little did I know that Monster World takes off from Famous Monsters of Filmland. So if you're collecting Famous Monsters and you get to 69 and you're like, I can't find 70 to 79, they're all famous. They aren't Famous Monsters listed. They're Monster World. It is all Famous Monster publishers, editors, staff. It's super similar to Famous Monsters of Filmland, but they just tried to go in a different direction, and I'm not 100% sure why. I'm sure there's some information out there on it, I bet. But if you're hunting for them and you haven't found them, and you have these in your collection, you have those missing editions, and that was like just blew my mind. I had no idea. And unlike comics, it's not quite as easy to find stat books for some of these publications, at least not in my experience. I haven't found a lot. So a lot of reference material I have to find online and do digging that way. So number 80 is the publication that starts after Monster World. So once this one stops, we get back on track with Famous Monsters, and then they start with number 80. It's a pretty good start. I mean, what the heck? That's great. Oh, fantastic movie. So that's just kind of a little secret trivia that you may or may not have known that might be helpful in your hunt for Famous Monsters magazines. So another thing I love, again, is when I can take the time to look through my collection and find super secret hidden surprises. This one really did surprise me. I thought I bought a really nice copy of issue number 37. I am a big fan of Ray Harryhausen, and I just thought this was a very, very nice copy. Now, very faintly, you have to look, and it says it on the sticker, but to be honest, I wasn't reading the sticker. I read the price over here. I just figured that was somebody's information from their collection. And it says it's circled signed. And I had no idea. And I'm flipping through and flipping through. And then on the cover, right by my finger, if you can see it, that is Ray Harryhausen's signature. And I am just like, talk about if it was a snake, it would have bit me. I had absolutely no idea that was even on there. I flipped through a box and bought it with a stack of other Famous Monster books. I had absolutely no idea that signature was on there. And that absolutely means the world to me. I love, love, love Ray Harryhausen. I can't say enough good things about him and his work and his movies. And so that was amazing, an amazing discovery. Pay attention to what you have. Another example of having things that you didn't know you had until you opened them up and look. Famous Monsters did conventions, Famous Monster Conventions. This is the program from 1974. And then in 1975 in New York, they did another exhibition convention. This is the program from that. Flipping through the program guide just to kind of, take a look at and they have like kind of Q&As, excerpts from the magazine. They talk a lot about Hammer, and that was in part because some of the Hammer actors, Hammer House of Horror actors were there that year, including Peter Cushing. I was super excited because when we opened the back of it, after we bought it, there's the convention page. Somebody had gotten autographs at the convention, and some of them are on there. Some of them, they just put everything together. Well, Forrest J. Ackerman's on there, and James Warren is on there. This is Barbara Lee. Barbara is the live cover model for Vampirella magazine. I have a picture of her. So that's who they had hired to do the Vampirellas, and that's her autograph. And then lo and behold, again, an autograph I had absolutely no idea who it was, is Peter Cushing. Like, talk about blowing my mind, right? I love Peter Cushing as a horror actor. Don't even get me started. Of course, I'm a Star Wars fan, but what an incredible find. Like, just blows my mind. I was super excited to have Forey's autograph, let alone a Peter Cushing. So if you buy things inexpensively, take the time to look through them, because you never know what you're going to find. That was an amazing find. And I did not pick that up in a dollar bin, so don't think it's anything like that. But still, that's like, it was, to me, inexpensive for everything that is in there. And I just, again, huge fan. So that was such a wonderful surprise. So encouraging you all to take the time to look through everything you purchase, especially if it's secondhand from an antique store, somebody's collection, an estate sale. You never know what you might find. All right, the last item I want to talk about today is my Famous Monsters magazine number 90. And what makes this one special is this is a commemorative Famous Monsters to celebrate Forrest J. Ackerman's 90th birthday. So that's why it has the number 90 listed as the number. It basically is, they reprinted Famous Monsters number 1. So it has a little bit of, let's see if I can show you some of these, just some basic information sort of in the front. Whoops. And then it goes into the magazine, and you will see some hand typed and printed notes, which then kind of correlate then to an article in the magazine. So you can see his kind of thought process and how he wrote his articles. And then it even has just some different things in the back that are different areas that they kind of map out and plan in the magazine. So you sort of can get a look at what that was really like and how they did all of that. So that's pretty cool. Insider information not everybody would see or have. So if you were part of the guest list, this was something that you got to take home with you. A lot of them were signed if you find them out now. This one is not signed, but it is still super cool. It's in really, really good condition. Again, it's listed as only 400 of these ever made. So it's definitely unique, a modern, if you will, publication. I mean, this was from November of 2006, but still has a lot of that nostalgia that I love. And it's a really welcome addition to my collection for sure. If I hadn't been able to have been lucky enough to have a Famous Monsters number 1, a good substitute, I think, hands down. Plus you get all those extra little bells and whistles to kind of, take in. I always like a good behind the scenes. So that's something kind of to think about. Maybe if you've never seen one before. I had not ever I never had seen a copy of this until I was able to purchase one. So I was really excited to see it. But if you do come across one and you're a Famous Monsters collector, I would highly recommend picking it up because they're super cool and very different. And I think that adds a little bit more uniqueness to my collection that I may not have had otherwise. So on that note, I'll probably end for today, but I'm so glad that you came again to see me, indulging my monster, you know, love for a little bit, talking about something different. I do love monsters, and I'm sure this will not be the last time that I'll ever talk about them. But it has been a real fun kind of jog down memory lane and kind of just picking through my collection to find things that I hope you find as unique, maybe a little thought provoking in how you're collecting, if not famous monsters, maybe something else. But I really do like finding different connections and making maybe, I hate to say cross collectible, but if you can find different things within your collection that kind of give it more enhanced value, or even enhanced value to you, that's what's important. These are all things I love. I didn't buy them to resell them or do something else with them. I bought them because it's really a part of my childhood and a part of my life, and I just can't imagine not having them. So until next time, I hope you are all collecting the things that you love, finding some hidden surprises, taking some time to really enjoy your collections. And in the comments below, let me know what you love to collect. If there's a famous monsters that you have or something within that sort of genre that you love. I love monster stories, and I love to know what monsters everybody else likes. But I hope you're still spinning some good tunes, maybe while you're reading your monster magazines, and that you'll come back to see me real soon. Have a great night. Thanks. Bye.